So it's 6 months since ChatGPT launched, and some are starting to question whether the frenzy of excitement around AI and generative AI in particular is really warranted. Or are we in a bubble of hype that's about to come crashing down? Well, let's first look at some of the signs that AI might be in a bit of a bubble. This week, we saw AI startup Mistral secure funding at a valuation of $260 million. So what, you might say, generative AI startups need a lot of cash. Well, the catch here is that they're only 4 weeks old, there's no product, there's no customers, and apparently its first few employees only started work a few days ago. Now, Mistral does have some talented founders with excellent pedigree, but nevertheless, racy valuations like this can be a sign of bubble dynamics in a market where investors are so overcome with a frenzy of FOMO that they throw cash at anyone who says AI or blockchain or .com, regardless of whether there's actually a proven business case. In another potential sign of the AI hype, AI chipmaker Nvidia has seen its stock price go to the moon this year. They've had some great quarterly numbers and they've announced some really exciting AI-focused tech. But still, with a price to earnings ratio of over 200, which by the way is almost 10 times the S&P 500 average, if you bought stock in Nvidia could 10x its profitability tomorrow, and it would still take 20 years for you to get a return on investment. Okay, what about ChatGPT? After all, it was ChatGPT that really lit the touch paper for the generative AI hype that we're seeing today. Now, after setting some incredible records for fastest growing consumer product ever, some are starting to question how many people are actually still using it. Morgan Stanley Research published some results of a survey they carried out in April that found that actually only 19% of respondents had used ChatGPT. And if we look at global search trends data, it does appear that interest in ChatGPT is starting to tail off since the peak around the time of GPT-4's release. All right, so it looks like generative AI is caught in a massive hype bubble that's about to pop, right? Well, hold on. Let's go back to that Morgan Stanley research data where only 19% of respondents had used ChatGPT. For a product that's only really about 6 months old, I think you could argue that's actually fairly extraordinary levels of penetration. After all, 19% is higher than Apple's annual market share in smartphone sales. It's also higher than the percentage of US citizens that had access to the internet in 1996. But there's also plenty of data that seems to imply generative AI is already having a measurable impact on companies and markets. Powered by AI is an AI consultancy. We help businesses get to grips with the transformational technology of AI, looking at how it can improve their company's productivity and profitability, whilst making sure that they're also aware of any threats from competitors or other dynamics at play in their industry, which might disrupt their business model. You can sign up to the free Powered by AI newsletter at pbai.co or take the How Screwed Are You test over on pbai.co to find out how susceptible your business might be to the disruption caused by generative AI and machine learning. For example, in this US jobs report from May, we can see 3,900 US job cuts being attributed to artificial intelligence. This is 5% of total US job cuts and is more than those caused by demand downturn or lost contracts. And in fact, we're already seeing stories of workers being displaced by generative AI like ChatGPT. But even those companies that aren't completely replacing workers with generative AI are still seeing an impact from the technology. There are scientific studies demonstrating performance and productivity increases, such as this one from the National Bureau of Economic Research, which found that customer service agents' productivity was increased 14% when they had access to AI chatbots. And this benefit was most realized by lower skilled workers, meaning that the addition of this technology would save the company money in either having to train up or have longer tenure employees. In this study from Microsoft, GitHub, and MIT, they found that programmers which had access to generative AI copilot tools on GitHub improved their task completion time by 55% compared to those that didn't have access to the tech. Now, let's remember that any technology that either saves companies money or helps their employees to be more productive, this is here to stay. This will see investment. And of course, let's not forget that most of the AI tech that we're talking about here is in very early stages. A lot of the most powerful tools that we reference in videos like this are in beta stage or even pre-release. And let's look at the investment data. Money is pouring into generative AI startups. Look at the difference here in the increase in valuation of generative AI startups versus regular startups. Even if we cautiously assume that a lot of this very speculative investment is ultimately going to be lost, we can still expect that with the vast amounts of cash pouring into generative AI startups, these very well-funded teams with huge amounts of investment behind them are going to come up with advances in the world of generative AI that are meaningful. And I think we're about to hit a usage inflection point with tools like Duet AI from Google, where it'll be building generative AI into the Google Workspace tool that millions of people and businesses use, or Microsoft's equivalent building generative AI into Microsoft Office and even building it into Windows operating system. We're about to see use case of generative AI explode, because rather than people needing to go to ChatGPT or Google Bard to use this technology, it's going to already be present in the software that they are used to using. There will be no behavioral change required for them to use generative AI. And that makes this unlike any prior technological revolution. If you think about something like the radio or the internet or smartphones, consumers had to go out and buy new technology. Whereas with generative AI, it's going to be present in the tech that we are already using. There'll be no behavioral change required, no change to our habits or routines. So I think the data and the potential of generative AI shows that regardless of any short-term hype, this technology has a long way to go and is just getting started. Yes, there is definitely data which seems to imply some bubble and hype dynamics are at play, absolutely. But there is also data demonstrating the real-world impact that generative AI is already having. And at any time a technology comes along that saves companies money, improves employee productivity, and increases customer satisfaction, we know that it's going to be here to stay. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Is generative AI caught up in a massive FOMO feeding frenzy? Or is this just legitimate transformational technology being priced accurately? Or maybe, like me, you sit in the middle of those two. Until next week, see you soon.